Hello and welcome back to the Tea and a Buddy podcast. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Erica.
And today's episode we're talking about culture. High culture.
Travel and culture week.
Travel and culture week. We're talking about the highest culture of them all. The Brits abroad. The British people abroad.
Oh, God.
Those sceptred bastions of decency and morality.
Oh, yes.
You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? Well, it could be. But yes, I was just looking on through my threads and I realised I posted something recently to do with this. It was from Roger Moore's autobiography, or biography. My Word is My Bond, one of his first ones, because he wrote a load of them.
Yeah.
And he talks about his parents coming when he lived in LA and he was making it successful. You know, he was very successful and everything. His parents came out and they weren't sure about coming out to a foreign land. And I was like, yeah, this sounds very familiar to me.
LA is quite a foreign land compared to...
Well, I mean, it is quite a foreign
England.
land to England, yeah. I mean, obviously there's different cultures and everything. But, you know, it was very funny to, like, you know, see that because it's kind of like one of the things is how to spot a Brit abroad.
Yeah.
They usually are going to worry that there's no proper food at their destination.
Yeah.
And they're filling their suitcase with beans and sausages and stuff like that, you know, just to like, oh, you know, because, oh, I'm worried. You know, even coming over here, I mean, fair enough going to like India or China or,
well, I was going to say, the very first time I ever heard of this, like, phenomenon, do you want to call it, was when the Beatles were mentioning that when they went to, it was to India, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That when they went to India, sorry, if you guys hear anything in the background, we have decided to record our podcast at the actual Formula One racetrack, so...
It's not even Formula One racetrack, it's NASCAR.
Yes.
NASCAR!
No, there's some...
The Formula One racetrack is quieter than this.
It's spring break, apparently, and it sounds like people are racing on the road nearby.
Drag racing. Knockdown drag racing. You know, like the old greasers in Greece did. You know, what was it? What did they used to call it?
Yeah.
Was it Grease Lightning?
Drag racing.
Drag racing, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Just drag racing. Anyway, so if you hear... We're just going to power through this because...
We're going to power through this.
This is about the third time we've started and restarted this podcast, and we're not doing it again.
No, we'll power through it. So,
but yeah, anyway,
get ready
to get back to the topic.
Knuckle down.
The first time I ever became aware of this Brits abroad phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
When I was listening to the Beatles talk about their time in India.
Oh, yes,
you know, when they went to, where did they go?
Marrakesh. No, it wasn't Marrakesh, it was Rishikesh. Marrakesh is in Morocco.
Oh, right. You know, George Harrison had gotten them into... Yeah. George Harrison had gotten them into... meditation,
transcendental meditation.
Yeah, so they went over there basically for like
the Maharishi
a retreat, right?
It was the Maharishi's yogi retreat.
Yeah. And
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
And Ringo very famously took a suitcase full of beans.
Because he was worried about what the food was going to be like.
Yeah, because he was worried about how the food was going to affect him. He was quite picky. He's always had problems with his stomach.
Yeah.
Whatever, but...
stomach!
And I always thought this was like something that was like specific to him.
No.
Just because of the type of person he was or his health issues from the past or whatever. But really, that was only like... just part of it, wasn't it? The rest of it was just the fact that he was British and he was just like, ugh.
Yeah, mostly,
very worried about the food.
No, it's funny because, you know, like, Americans go into the UK, it's like, oh, the food's bland, the food's bad, and stuff like that. they don't take anything with them though to like
No.
ensure, and it's like coming this way, Brits are just suspicious, like, oh, it's not proper food.
Yeah.
It's that weird,
nowadays,
weird stuff, avocado on toast and stuff. You know, even though that's becoming
and
popular
nowadays
in Britain.
there's all that. They
inject their
they
chickens
put so
with
much stuff in there.
Yeah.
Although
Washing chickens.
I have seen plenty of British people come over here, and I think that they are like kind of afraid of whatever. Just it's gonna be different. So I'm just gonna stick to eating McDonald's, and which is American, but they have it in the UK, so they're familiar with it. They're like, I'm just gonna eat McDonald's, KFC.
Or McDonald's usually, yeah. That's all they'll eat is McDonald's.
Yeah,
proper English food. That, see. It's because that was a joke in Birds of a Feather that I didn't get, funnily enough, when I was a kid. When I saw it first, I thought, oh, you know, what's funny about that? You know,
what?
They came out to LA because for some reason I mean, if you've watched Birds of a Feather, it was an old BBC sitcom. And they had George Hamilton, the movie star, guest in it.
Oh,
It was like, it was a Christmas. I think
I don't remember that
you must have. I think for some reason, I think one of them thinks George Hamilton is their father. Or something, and they come out to LA to like stalk him and try and track him down.
Oh God, I don't remember that at all.
And so they're driving around, and you know, they're two sisters, and one of them says to the other, goes, "Oh, look, English food," you know, and points to McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody laughed, and I was like, what's so funny of that? It is English food.
Oh.
And it should be everywhere because of the empire, you see. No, but, you know, and then it's like, no, McDonald's is an American company, you know.
Yeah.
Famously, you know.
Yeah.
Even with a name like McDonald's, it's an American company, yeah. But yeah, no, it's just kind of like, I'm only going to eat McDonald's, I'm only going to eat...
That's so funny. So even Roger Moore's parents, like, filled their suitcase with...
Yeah, wall sausages. The Brits abroad.
You know what?
Came out, so why have you brought this? It's like, yeah, we've got sausages here.
We did see an instance of that. You said, Americans don't do that. Do you remember? I think it was on TikTok. A few years ago, Jill Zarin, who used to be one of the Real Housewives of New York City.
How could we forget
her
old
and
Jill?
Her daughter came to the UK, I think.
I don't know if it was
for a trip.
Was it the UK or was it somewhere in Europe?
Maybe it was going to be both, but I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. I'm pretty sure
London.
They were in the UK anyway.
They were in London,
and she had brought a suitcase full of Diet Coke
because she'd heard that they don't have Diet Coke.
No, she said they don't, because I think she's been over here before, and everybody was going,
"What are you talking about?
Diet
We
Coke.
do have Diet. No, you don't." It's like, yes, we do. I've got a Diet Coke in my hand right now,
Jill. She literally had a suitcase packed with cans of Diet
they didn't
Coke.
They didn't let her through customs or something with it, did they?
No. She checked it.
It would have exploded on the flight or something.
Oh my God. I don't know how she got it through, because she should not have.
And it was all Jill Zarin's fault that the Boeing 747 came down in the transatlantic.
It had to have been checked, because it was a big bag, and she had cans and she had bottles.
That would have weighed a ton.
And a couple of them had busted, and everything was wet
and sticky.
Oh my God.
But no, I do remember that, and people were arguing with her, and then it became like a thing saying, "Oh, they don't have Diet Coke in Europe. Oh, I've heard they don't have Diet Coke." And
apparently they have something, I guess,
Coke Light.
Coke Light.
Yeah, which is Diet Coke. It's just called Coke
just
Light.
A different name, yeah.
No, it's not the same. It's like, and people are like, no, it's not the same. They've got less chemicals in it. It's like it doesn't have so much high fructose. It doesn't have any high fructose because it's got to have aspartame in it. And
that was her point, was that, it doesn't taste the same. It doesn't taste like Diet Coke.
It tastes better for you, Jill. That's what it does. It tastes much better than the Diet Coke over here.
But yeah, I can imagine traveling with a suitcase full of beans and sausages.
Have you got the sausages? Are you okay?
But what kind of sausages?
Wall's tin sausages. It must
tinned.
Tin sausages. And this must have been going back a few years. Because his parents had died a long time before he did.
He was born in
1927.
So yeah.
So yeah, they were totally like, oh, LA's not going to have proper food, you know.
Yeah.
Not going to have fish and chips or meat pies or anything like that. And, you know, it's like he goes, oh, yeah, the Brits abroad. He said, but I'm the same. Michael Caine phoned me up and says, oh, I'm here with a couple of people and we're just talking about you and your posh life in Switzerland. And he says this was in the 80s when he was, you know, at the end of his Bond tenure. And so they said, oh, yeah, we're just talking about you and your posh life in Switzerland. What are you up to? And he goes, well, Michael, I'm sitting here in front of the telly watching Dad's Army and eating beans on toast. Glamorous time. That's what glamour, you know.
That's what you've been doing for the last couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, I've been watching.
Dad's
Yeah,
Army.
I got a Brit box and I've just been watching the old Dad's Army. And funnily enough,
Brits abroad.
I put that little passage up on Threads, and someone commented, says, my dad was doing the same. The exact same. I just got off the phone to him. And it's like, I'm resigned to my fate now, because I've got the whole Dad's Army season sets on box set, you know, so it's a great show, Dad's Army. Yeah, we've talked about it before. Yeah. Erica likes it.
Yeah.
You didn't get into it at first. You thought, oh, maybe I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
but then you did, and everything's okay now.
But I mean, the funny thing is, online you always maybe it's just because we're in America, but you always see, oh, how to spot an American tourist. Oh, these things are what Americans do. They lean. They talk very loud. They're obnoxious. They're doing this.
They
they're
talk
doing
very
that.
loud, and they're you know.
Yeah, it's so easy to spot an American tourist.
Yes,
and it's just like.
But you're winding up the cat now talking about this in that accent. She's getting very wound up.
What we Americans don't realize is that the Brits have the same kind of reputation in Europe.
Yeah, as
the Americans. It's like, oh God, the Brits are here. Yeah. Oh, they're loud. Because to us, for some reason, we think of British people, as we started the podcast with, oh, very high class.
Very high class, very elegant,
tone,
you know.
Very elegant.
Oh, yes, but got to
posh,
put on posh and...
We think of them as being... And British people love to perpetuate those stereotypes. Oh yes, we're very polite. We like to queue. We don't want to make a fuss.
It's the big lie.
We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. But then you talk to Europeans and they're like, oh God, the British people, they come over here. They're so loud and obnoxious. They're getting drunk. They're falling all over the place. They're making scenes.
And, you know, your wealth and privilege and class status, you know, it's the same sort of thing. You know, people go, oh, no, that's just the working class.
Yeah.
Who go over there and do that, the football hooligans. And it is that, you know, you'll usually be able to spot them, usually with their, you know, sports or football shirts on. It's usually an England shirt with, you know, the white shirt with blue trim and 3 lions on it. And it's two sizes too small for their beer gut.
Yeah.
And they're all out there like, yeah. And they always spot each other and they go to the bar with each other and they rarely interact with the locals. Because that was my experience on holiday as well. Because British families are also easy to spot because they'll look like the Griswolds. But much paler.
Yeah, the Griswolds were all tan, weren't they? That's so funny.
And the dad will be wearing some sort of safari suit with socks and sandals, you know. We saw them here in Austin once. We were downtown or something, and they were lost.
Oh, yeah.
And the dad had on he looked like Keith Chegwin. He had on this, like, little safari suit and socks and sandals.
Yeah,
and the mother, and they were like, come on this way. Oh, no. Go this way. Oh, I don't know where we are. You know.
Yeah.
And they had 2 little kids following them, you know, and just like, oh, I don't know, you know.
Yeah,
and I was like, yeah, they're completely lost here, you know. But it's like, it's the same all over Europe and all that. But yeah, you'll usually see them congregating in bars and stuff. Because when I went on holiday, you know, it was like package deals. The one I remember is we'd go to like, Spain is overrun with them.
Yeah.
Some of them live out there, you know, so it's like but most of the ones who come on holiday, the same sort of thing, you know.
And they all seem to, like, find each other.
They find each other, yeah, because they're all wearing the same uniform. They're all wearing the England shirts.
Oh, God.
So they congregate in the bars. They're like, "Oh, what's it like here? Can you get a good English breakfast? Yeah, lovely stuff. Real Yorkshire gravy, real roast beef,
Yeah.
Yorkshire puddings. Yeah, lovely stuff. Oh yeah, and do a full English breakfast and chips. Oh, chips like you'd never had them before in England. They're the best chips ever. Real English fare, in Spain."
I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously we saw British people when we were in Spain because your dad was British, so he already and he lived there, so he already knew people. But when we went to like France or Rome, I can't remember like specifically.
I mean, those are metropolitan cities, Paris and Rome.
So if you heard them, you would kind of
would just be like, yeah.
But
like in like the smaller kind of like coastal.
Yeah, places. We haven't ever been to. Well, we did go to Fuengirola.
Fuengi. Yeah, Fuengirola.
Yeah, that's quite a like known for British.
It was in
tourism,
the off season,
wasn't it? Yeah, that's true.
It was raining too.
Yes. Oh God.
So
was it?
Yeah. So I mean, we went.
Yeah, so I haven't experienced this personally yet.
We'd have to go in like the summer months.
You never heard it that one day in Target years ago. There were like 3 or 4 big guys. I don't remember if any women were with them. Yeah. Like big guys, and they were Scottish, and they were cussing, and they were so they were so loud though. Like I looked at them, like they were just like and I was just like, oh my God,
yeah.
what?
Well, they were probably drunk too.
Oh, I mean,
someone had gotten hold of the tequila.
I don't know, but it was just like, yeah, they definitely do like make themselves known
because it's kind of like even for like the working class Brits, let's say, to say the ones who are normally on the thing, it's like they wouldn't be doing that if they weren't drunk,
Yeah.
And it's like they wouldn't be being loud and obnoxious,
But
unless
because
they were
in
a
holiday,
yeah, because in Target, like you're going, whoa, it's like Target.
Yeah.
What are you doing that in Target for? You know?
I just remember they were coming down the front.
But
of
I mean,
store,
maybe
yeah. I can't remember specifically what they were saying. I know they were cussing and they were loud, and I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. yes. The riffraff, you see. It's all the riffraff.
They're just so excited, I think.
I mean,
They're excited to be somewhere.
Yeah, well, yes, Brits abroad, and is this the way to Amarillo? Yeah, Every night I've been hugging my pillow.
But you have been a Brit abroad.
I've been in Brit abroad several times. I'm pretty much a Brit abroad now.
I'm not talking about now because you live here, but you've told me experiences that very much fall into the stereotypes from when you were a kid.
The one I remember is we went to Turkey. I mean, once we went to Greece and stuff, we were on a rep. It was kind of like I was a bit young to like really notice it then, but as I got a little bit older, it started to become we're with a bunch of Brits here. We kind of took over this hotel.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the end of the season. And this hotel was in Turkey, and Uluduni, it was on like the western edge of Turkey. And so we all got there, and we were kind of like, we're gonna be with like some French people, some Germans. Germans are usually the ones who go everywhere else.
I was gonna say we have a story for that one, but we'll mention that in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah. But it was all Brits. It was absolutely everyone was Brits who turned up with us. And I was like, so we're all staying here. It was only 20 rooms, and we're all we're all British here, apparently. And so everyone, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, we're sitting there by the pool. Everyone's sitting there. So we dropped our bags in our room. Me and my dad and this guy, Richard from Gravesend, were there, and then a few of them were starting to pour in, and it was like,
Not Richard from Gravesend.
Richard from Gravesend. I don't know, he's probably long gone now, but he was a nice guy. I was sitting there, and I was like, and the owner of the guy couldn't speak a word of English. He'd just come up to us and go, okay, and just put his thumbs up. He was like, yeah, we're okay,
Yeah.
And I think this Richard goes, are they going to open the bar or what? This is at 6 o'clock in the morning.
6 a.m. Oh my God.
They're going to open the bar or what? My dad was like,
what time would you sorry, this is like off topic, but what time would you have had to leave arrive at 6 a.m.?
It was about 4 o'clock flight.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was the condition of this. I don't know how long, it was about 3 or 4 hours to Turkey, I think.
Yeah.
From I think it was Bristol we left from, I don't know. But it was like it was nice, it was a nice balmy kind of like, I'd say 70 degrees, maybe 65, and I thought, this is going to be, a nice little holiday, it's like nice temperature and everything, but this was at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
By midday, it was like 100 degrees in the shade.
Right, yeah.
So, and by that time, everyone was drunk.
Oh, God.
Because the goes, okay, so can you open the bar, drink, to the guy? And he goes, okay. He goes to get his son, Ned, who can speak a little bit of English. He comes up and he's like, okay, I'll open the bar now. Do you want coffee or something? He's like, no, get the beers on, yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay. Start making the money.
Yeah.
Everybody is, by 12 o'clock, everybody is overcome the jet lag and they're in the bar knocking it back.
Oh, my God.
It was, and that was, funnily enough, that was one of the best holidays because it was just so funny because a few nights we'd be there, like we'd have all the English, this guy Steve drove out there in his Ford Sierra.
Yeah.
And he was like, they don't really have any good music here to put on. He goes, I've got a couple of like compilation CDs in my car, and I was like, I'm a big Beatles fan. Have you got any Beatles in there? He goes, I've got the Red album.
Oh yeah,
and the blue and the Blue album. So playing that back to back,
Yeah.
And then he had this. I don't know if you ever heard that song, "Living Next Door to Alice."
No.
I can't remember. It was a hit in Britain, but there's an unsung verse. It's like, Alice, who the is Alice?
Oh, yeah.
And everybody was singing that one night.
Oh,
and
God.
It was loud. And then the next day, everybody was coming down from like the mountains and stuff like that. The corners goes, is there a bar down here then? It sounded like it was a really good night last night. And all these other Brits from all the other like hotels nearby in this like little resort,
Yeah.
They're just coming around and go, we heard singing and was everyone being, it sounded good. Yeah, the cops didn't come. But,
Jeez.
But yes, it was one of an eye-opening experience. It was much different to Spain. Because Spain is kind of like you go out there and they're old hat at it. Turkey, I think at that time was kind of new at taking tourists in.
Yeah.
Because they'd been involved in wars and, and all that kind of stuff, and they were just kind of like just becoming part of the EU.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were opening themselves up to. But yeah, no, it's that kind of thing.
Didn't you tell me though that somebody on that trip brought food? Didn't you say?
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury was on your
Freddie Mercury turned up.
Tour, was it?
He turned up and he looked like Freddie Mercury. He had like a shaved kind of like head and a moustache, and he looked almost exactly. We used to call him Freddie Mercury because he had the Freddie Mercury moustache and he had a bit of a buck teeth as well. And we'd put Queen on and he'd do his bit, and he brought something out. I can't remember what it was. I think he brought Fray Bentos pies or something,
God.
Those kind of things. And he was trying to give them an edge, and I was like, no, it's a... And I was like, the food here is fine. I was eating chicken kebabs every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Yeah, it was a good holiday, yeah.
But everybody was complaining about the heat.
Oh, yes.
There was no air conditioning on the bus. But
no air conditioning in the rooms either.
In the rooms?
No. We had the fan on, but it was just blowing hot air. Remember that time we were here? I was like, oh, God, this reminds me of Turkey. 1998.
Oh, my gosh.
But yes, you go out there and it's kind of like they don't really interact with the locals, only for kind of like, it's kind of like a safari type thing. Oh, we'll go into town and look at the locals.
And I think that's different than Americans.
And we'll just kind of awkwardly kind of like interact with the locals and go, yeah, haircut. Yeah, oh, and, you know, speaking English very loudly and slowly.
Well, I say it's different. I'm thinking now, like, Americans going to Mexico, let's say, they do find each other. They do kind of the same thing, I suppose. They go, oh, yes. Where are you from? Oh, you're from South Carolina?
Yeah.
Oh, you know. But, like, in other countries, I don't really think that, like, in Europe, I don't really think Americans, like, look for each other in order to, you know, avoid speaking the language or
it's one
whatever.
Of those things, it's kind of like, oh, they're Brits abroad, and so, like, oh, they'll, you know, like this guy Steve that drove out to Turkey.
Yeah.
There was a couple of girls who came to stay. You know, and they were from Stevenage or somewhere, and one of them's name was Debbie, and they had a bit of a holiday romance sort of thing, and he drove her, he says, oh, I'll take her home. She's gonna, like, you know, not go home with her mate. I'll drive her home. I'll drive her back. And we were all just kind of like, oh, this is how it happens. It's like, oh, yeah, me and Debbie, yeah, we've been together now 15 years. It's like, oh, where did you meet? You know, you presume in Britain. But it's like, oh, yeah, we met out on holiday in Turkey or on holiday in Spain.
Yeah.
It's like, because they don't really, I met this great bloke, Richard from Gravesend, you know. He's, oh, yeah, he was a great guy, you know. And it's like, yeah.
But it's like, oh, you all are having a great time, but everybody else is kind of rolling their eyes and going, oh, geez.
Yeah.
You know, these
bloody Brits.
These people wanting to open the bar at 6 a.m.
6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, let's get going. You know, fresh off the plane, you know.
God, yeah. But I mean, as you mentioned, German tourists. Now, I don't know whether they have... I don't know whether they have a reputation or not, but we have an experience with a group of German tourists when we were staying in London several years ago. And they were basically behaving the same way that the Americans and the British are accused of behaving. So I'm assuming that, you know, this is not just British people and American tourists.
No,
you know?
German tourists can be almost as bad.
Yeah.
I think that they have a reputation for amongst Brits anyway. And funnily enough, you know, we had that experience in the hostel in London with them.
Yeah.
We, this holiday to Turkey, me and my dad went on like a coach trip to like the ruins of Ephesus and so on. We stayed in this hotel in, you know, overnight, and it had air conditioning, and everybody, and all the Brits on the trip were like, oh, it's got air conditioning, yes, turn it on, leave that on all night, you know.
Yeah.
And my, you know, my dad and me were like, yeah, leave that thing on. But we went, I was like, you know, we stayed there and we were like to like relaxing by the pool and stuff. We got in the pool. There's like 3 or 4 German families were there.
Yeah.
Jumping around, screaming, yelling, yeah, 9, yeah, oh, you know, whatever, screaming, splashing. It's like, ah, ha, ha, you know, like really like in your face, like, ah, ha, you know, just like, worse, and their kids were like splashing around, but the dads and I was like, you know, like, and it was just like, we were just all sitting there like, yeah.
On holiday, we all fam.
Aren't you glad you won the war? You know, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of everyone, I suppose.
Yes,
it's like when you go on holiday with your friends or your family. You know, the point of the holiday is to have a good time, to relax, to have fun. Yeah. You know, so...
Yeah, no.
Sometimes
I said, yeah, they were being annoying, and my dad said, yeah, but they were on holiday when they... You know, same as us. We're just as bad as them. Don't worry.
Yeah, the experience that we had was in the hostel in London.
Yeah.
Probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe not quite that late.
No, it was like 1 o'clock. They started up.
Well, started, but we were able to ignore them, I think, because for the most part we were so tired.
We were shattered, yeah.
We were tired. But when we couldn't ignore them anymore, they were probably, I guess, I don't know, I can't remember if they were adjacent to us, I think.
They were right next door.
Yeah. They were having a birthday party or something. They were singing happy birthday.
I vaguely remember happy birthday, yeah, but there was like, there was no kind of, I couldn't really hear music. Maybe there was music, but it just seemed like there was like a bunch of people in there all talking at once in a loud voice going, talking
really loud, laughing really loud.
Like it was like someone had overlapped like a recording of several people talking. It's what it sounded like to me, and I was like, it's just one guy in there with a radio, isn't it? You know. But no, the hotel staff. I remember hearing the hotel staff knock their door, and then they was like, "Can you turn it down, please?"
But I think that was after they had knocked on our door.
Oh, they whacked on our door
they
and
started
then laughed.
knocking on our door and going,
Weekter.
And
they were saying it in the room too, I remember.
Weekter, but creepy like that.
And I was like, did they think Weekter lived in our room or what?
If I had been there by myself and somebody was doing that, I would have been so freaked out. We were just like, oh my God. We were kind of like, I remember we were laying there and we had our friend Scott in the room with us. Like, we all were sharing a room. We were all just laying there like that. And we were like, what in the world? And then we were just kind of like laughing because it just kept going. It's like, we're not going to get up and open the door at this time of night.
No,
you know?
I was too tired to. I was just like, yeah, Weekter. I think it was something I said, yeah, Weekter. Yeah, great, you know.
It just went on, Weekter.
I don't even know if he remembers that, actually. I'll have to text him and ask him about that.
Yeah, because in the morning then we were like, what in God's name?
What was all that about?
They did quiet down, though, once the...
I think they threatened to call the cops.
The hostel management or whatever came up and was like, look, you can't be doing this, you know. We've got other people here.
Yeah, I guess someone else had complained, or the surrounding building. Cause,
it was not a really big place.
No,
so it
wasn't.
Like, they were loud enough that we were surely not the only ones bothered, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Weekter. Yeah, no, there was that kind of thing, and it's funny because, you know, I just reminded of a story my uncle said when we were over there about when, you know, because he's a big rugby fan, so they go to Ireland frequently for the rugby matches, you know, like for internationals and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, like, when you go into like Spain or something, you don't need a big plane. You know, it's not a jumbo jet 747. You know, like a transatlantic one. You know, that goes to America and stuff like that. He says, all of us would book tickets on this, you know, and we were just flying from Cardiff to Dublin, which is a hop, basically, you know, for a plane, you know. But we got there, and then we were walking across the tarmac, and it's a big 747 jumbo jet, you know, that's gonna. And it's like, oh yeah, that one's probably going to Dublin, and then it's going to Miami.
On to somewhere else.
Yeah, somewhere else, or Canada, or wherever. And of course, they all start getting nervous and going to Alan, oh, I don't know, is this a jumbo jet? Is this our plane? And I was like, yes, it is. You know, it's going to Dublin, yeah, you know, and we get on the plane. And they get on the plane, and I've heard of this before, you know, like they get nervous when they see a big plane because they think, oh no, you know, like it's a bus. Have we got the right bus? You know, it's like, oh, is this, and you know... Yeah. One of them sits down and he goes to Alan, he goes, the captain does know that he's dropping us off in Ireland, doesn't he? The captain does know that he's dropping us off in Ireland. So, yeah, he'll press a button. We'll just parachute out over Ireland as he's, you know, safe landing. You know, it's like, yeah, of course he does. You know, he's going to land in Dublin. We get off the plane. That's where we get off. It's like, we're not going to stay on the plane and then have them go, oh, don't worry, in a minute we're off to Miami or wherever it is. You know.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, and they were very nervous about it. We're like, oh, and then they were like, oh, thank God, he did land in Ireland then.
Oh yeah,
he did land in. He knew, yes. Oh, I was worried about that. I was very worried. It's like, it's not going to take a detour, you know, unless it's an emergency.
But yeah, I think that's about it.
I think that's about it. I think we've talked enough. And it's quieting down out there.
It's cool. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Just when we're finished.
And I think our cat has gone to sleep too.
Yeah, every time we need to shut the door so we can record the podcast. And I don't know what it is with cats, but they cannot stand having the door shut.
No, you shut the door, they instantly know. It's like, wait a minute, I'm
She
trapped
wants
in this
out,
room.
And then we shut the door again. She wants back in. You know, it's just like, no, just
all doors
leave that
open.
door open. Yeah, just leave it open. What's the matter with you?
I don't like these doors that you've got.
Yes.
They should
What's
just
the point?
open plan house all the time so I can get to places. I don't have to be obstructed by anything. And if I'm obstructed by anything, you remove that obstruction and you never put it back.
But yeah, anyway, I think that'll about do us.
That'll about do us.
Overtime. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to give us a follow on social media if you don't follow us already.
Yeah.
We are at TButty, TEABUTTY across all socials. Give us a shout out on social media and let us know any kind of topics that you want us to cover in the future.
If you've got any kind of ideas for topics that you want us to talk
Things
about.
You specifically want us to talk about, yeah.
It could be anything.
You know the categories now. You know the weekly schedule.
Yes. It's TV, film, food and drink, culture, travel,
culture, yeah.
Pop culture and quiz and
news. Yeah. So I mean, we kind of cover everything. So.
We got all the 4 weeks covered. And if there's a fifth week, we give you like something extra. Which I think this month, no.
I think maybe, yeah.
Maybe this month, yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe. So you might get something extra this month.
You might.
Something new ages. Oh, yes.
If not this month, next month. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, shout out to our patrons for their continued support. We really appreciate you guys. And we'll talk to everybody next time.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.